Lisa Lonsdale, welcome here today. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me today. You've been identified as a top entrepreneurial woman in your field. And as you know, the WIRE program, we focus on entrepreneurial women in Queensland, the regional, rural and remote areas. But part of our program as well, we do want to involve entrepreneurial women who's linked to agribusiness and agriculture and so forth, because that's very closely linked to the program as well. So very happy that you agreed for me to talk to you today, and I'm just going to ask you a whole range of questions, and would love to learn from you and hear about your life as an entrepreneurial woman, and also like to hear more about yourself. So just to kick off then, my first question to you is, before I get to the business side of things, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I've been living in Queensland since 2005. Before that, I grew up on properties on the top of the Hunter Valley. So we had partnership properties there with my family and my aunt and uncle. We went to boarding school in Tamworth, and I studied in Armidale and did a Bachelor of Agribusiness.
Okay.
And following on from there, during that time, my father and mother moved to the coast. So I wanted to continue. I had nothing holding me to anywhere, so I moved to Queensland. And that's when I started in agri-finance.
Okay, yeah, agri-finance, very specialised, a very niche field. So that's excellent. So tell me a little bit about your business.
So after, nearly 10 years of living in Roma, and then I moved back to Rocky, I noticed, I enjoyed the customer side of what I was always doing. And, I always came across these producers that knew their businesses extremely well, but they, as I always say, they wear so many different hats in their everyday roles, whether, for the wife, it's being a mother, cook, as well as being on the property, and time is of the essence. And as things and technology and requirements get faster, I felt that there was a niche market that no one had really addressed on actually sitting down with producers and getting that information out of their heads and onto paper the way that either the banks wanted to see it or just for themselves. So it was a independent person looking at how their business was going and what it needed to do to get to the next stage, or try different scenarios of how it's being. And I'm not linked to anybody else, so they know they're getting the right. Well, not the right opinion, I should say. It's an independent view of an assessment of what the information that they've been providing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what stage is your business at? Like, how long ago did you establish it, and so forth?
It's going to be 2 as of the 1st of March. It's going to be for 2 years.
That's wonderful. And, that 2-year mark is so important, as you also know. So do you have some views on that, like your journey in the first 2 years, and how you think that may change as you go forward?
I wasn't planning, like when I first finished up in finance, I wasn't planning what I was going to do. I originally thought I was just having some time off and be a mother.
Yeah.
I've got a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. So that lasted 6 weeks. Yeah. And I realized I kept getting phone calls and emails from existing clients that I knew from when I was their bank manager. And so I thought I'd just get a company formed and just see what was out there. Yeah. And then we had a cyclone come through Rockhampton, so that put it back a little bit whilst we were dealing with the consequences after that.
Yeah.
And so in the last, like the first 12, well, not, probably the first 12 months, you're still finding what you're actually wanting to be doing in your business. And and then last year, I really found niche market, the clientele that really was wanting to target, and then the referrals from existing clients started to come in. So, and then from Christmas onwards, like since this new year began, I knew that hitting the second, going into, just reaching 2 years, got to change it and go to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to ask to ask you a little bit about how you identify yourself within the entrepreneurial space. When I talk to entrepreneurial women, very often they don't even identify themselves as an entrepreneur. How do you identify yourself within the entrepreneurial space? How do you think about yourself?
Well, I try. It's a good question, I suppose. Yeah, until you never really heard of it. Well, I mean, you heard of the entrepreneur word, but I never associated it with what I'm doing. I suppose I saw other businesses out there in the finance field, and I wanted to differentiate myself to them. And so I knew I looked at my positives that I could offer for myself and for the clients, and I've gone down a totally different area to what they are doing, and it seems to be working because I am I'm not affiliated with what's already out there in the market.
So I know it's only been 2 years, but you must have some kind of notion of what success means to you. What would that be for you?
Well, it's a accumulation of things for it. It's I suppose, self-worth for your own. I give myself challenges and different things that I've got to meet, and that's happening. So it's nice. It's very hard work, and I'm not doubting that for a minute. But it's nice that you're doing it for your own business, and you can see the difference you're making with with your clients. And so, I mean, obviously that success turns into financial reward, and it'll continue. I'm able to now give 2 women part-time roles in the business. So
fantastic. Just after 2 years, that's great. Yeah.
So I'm continuing to grow, and I mean, I'm allowing for flexibility in the workplace. Like, they're 2 women that have a young family as well, and with technology, it doesn't matter. They're not sitting in the office next to me.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that just what you enjoy about being an entrepreneur, but what would be your most favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur or having your own business?
For me personally, for what I do, it's meeting the people that I'm working with in their businesses and actually going out to their own properties and seeing what they're wanting to achieve, and starting from the ground and working throughout the course of however, if it's 12 months or longer, and seeing the plan actually happening for it.
Yeah. And so far, what's your least favorite aspect?
The least favorite, well, I mean, I suppose the work, and not that I'm complaining for it, and you shouldn't use the word busy, because what does busy actually mean?
Yeah.
But the work, essentially you could work 24 hours a day for it. And you've got to know when to just stop and spend some time with family.
That's an interesting aspect, the work, especially of entrepreneurial women and the family and so forth. How do you balance the two, or is it, how do you do it?
I don't know for it. I don't think there's any such word as work-life balance. I don't think it can ever be equal.
Yeah.
I believe personally I'm a better mother if I am working rather than I'm at home all the time with them. Yeah. And my children haven't ever seen me not at work. Yeah. And until you look back on it and go, oh my goodness, that was full on what we've just achieved.
Yeah.
You're on to the next milestone. So I'm not sure, but sometimes I think we wing it, but it's still, we're all happy for it.
That's right. So tell me a little bit about, you said you were in employment before you started your business. So, why did you start your business, or, what ignited that spark in you to actually start your business?
Um, well, I always I suppose my biggest thing was always helping clients. I really liked going above and beyond. And as you get busier and busier with a corporate company, that gets reduced because you've got so many other aspects of the job to do.
Yeah.
And I suppose got frustrated by that. And I had a couple of circumstances where, one client was sick and I managed to work in and do a lot more than what was needed, and just having that person know that they could rely on someone else helping them whilst they were in a difficult time of their life, and knowing that there was no one else doing it, and well, why couldn't I give it a go? Why couldn't I be that person to help other people?
That to me says a lot about your mindset and how you think within, in your role. So tell me a little bit about your mindset as you've gone through your entrepreneurial journey so far, because you must have also come across some difficulties and so forth. And how do you think about those difficulties? How do you overcome them?
Definitely. So I think you've got to, it's been a massive learning curve. Which I don't regret for one moment, but there's a lot of negativity, and you have to learn not to cut off that negativity. And what I learned most was not to share your ideas or thoughts with probably the people closest to you, family and friends and acquaintances. Someone once said they're trying to protect you, so they're going to push you away from trying to do something new. And I think it's right. No offense to them, but and I do a lot of podcasts. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and enrolled in an online Bob Proctor course with Karen Brook, and it's just a whole heap of people that are just starting businesses, and none of us know each other, but we're all able to voice our positives of the week or anything that we've got trouble with, and it's just a nice sounding board that's away from your everyday people that you usually speak about. And just through that, and learning to be careful who you talk to, essentially, and who you're sharing your ideas for. And I've just totally cut any negativity or any people that are negative out of my life for it.
Okay, that's obviously standing you in very good stead with your mindset side of things. So apart from the mindset, what would be other skills that you think have really worked for you in your role?
You've got to have determination, and just to keep working, to keep focus on what you want to get to. It's very isolating. You can feel very isolated being working by yourself, and I have an office in town, but I also work from home. So unless you push yourself and make yourself get out there in the world, you can really cut yourself off. I suppose I'm very stubborn, and so I don't want to give up, and I know I can do this, and it's back to your mindset that it's there.
In your when you started, and over the last 2 years as well, when we act entrepreneurial, we do try and learn from other entrepreneurs. So is there another particular entrepreneur or business person that you particularly admire?
Yes, I suppose I've been watching, there's a couple of local people that watch from afar and see how they've gone. And then I listen. I do a lot of time in the vehicle driving, so I listen to a lot of podcasts of different entrepreneurs and how their battles. And, I've been to a couple of Lisa Messenger days, and who she's had, a few of the entrepreneurs that she has brought up. There's not one in particular, but I suppose you can see all of them have the same resounding. Everyone has weaknesses, but it's about focusing on what skills you can bring to your business, and anything that might be your shortfalls, there's always ways that you can get assistance in that area.
So it's maybe putting you a little bit on the spot, but do you have a favourite quote?
Yeah, I do. I like to say that and I can't remember who wrote it, but I've seen it for years, and I always have it on my desk. And I always say, you can't fail until you've tried.
Yeah, that's very, very appropriate for starting out and actually making it happen, not just thinking about the idea. Um, Vision. When you started off, did you have a vision for you moving forward? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they just start because out of necessity, and then the vision kind of develop in time, etc. What was it like with you? Did you have an initial vision, and has that maybe changed over these last 2 years?
Well, a bit of quick background. So I quit my job without my husband or anybody knowing then and there.
Okay.
For it, I was frustrated, had enough of where it was going, and finished up within. I gave extra time within 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So that, and I just thought, so the preparation probably wasn't as much as usual,
Yeah.
and then and then my husband, his job circumstances changed just as I started into this.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
knew that I had to get my business up and going for everything to continue.
Yeah.
So back to it's grown a lot bigger than I ever expected it would,
Yeah.
and I probably undervalued and sold myself. My worth was not what I thought it was, and looking back on it, so that was probably something to learn for
Yeah.
it.
That's very typical, yeah. And now, moving forward, what's your vision for going forward at the 2-year mark?
I'm still in the growth stage, and I want to continue to grow and make it. I've got clients all over Queensland, and I've even gone into state now. And I want to be a focal point. Like I don't want to be. I want to put more staff on, but keep my values to stay true to what I always wanted from the start. That's what I don't want to lose sight of either.
So, how did you get to, where you are today? Were there other people also involved in the mix with that? Did you have any mentors and collaborators, or just tell me a little bit about your journey with that respect?
I noticed that when I had a lot of people, and they were very supportive, and I'm very grateful that once I went out on my own and I wasn't aligned with a corporate company, how many offers of advice and business advice that I got, and that was great. And I have had a couple of mentors that do similar business to me, but not in my area, that are happy to help give advice, or people that have been doing it a lot longer. So that's been wonderful for that side of things. That was one thing I'm totally blown away, and still so grateful for how much out there is available for information, and people are willing to help you for it as starting up, and the amount of connections of people that I made in the past that I reconnected with, that referred me business as well. That's what's got me to where I am now for it.
What about partnerships? What's your view on partnerships? And do you also kind of outsource some aspects of your business, or do you do it all yourself?
No, I think partnerships are wonderful, and it's all. This brings it back to, if I've got a couple of different ones that I know I could do, but I know someone else that's their core business, and vice versa. So I have one for insurance that we don't have. We've just got an agreement that we both know each other will say what we say we'll do,
Okay,
and
good.
so we do those kind of referrals. We've done I've got a couple of different ones that we do workshops and different things with. So we all have the same clientele that we're aiming for, but we're offering different services. And I think, essentially, if you're wanting to have your own business succeed, you're wanting your clients' businesses to succeed. So all for partnerships, and getting the right professionals in front of them is going to make everyone's business better.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about when you started the business, and you were just saying that you actually started the business without telling anybody, and there must have been a lot of self-doubt, and over the last 2 years as well. As entrepreneurial women, we sometimes do have self-doubt. How do you build yourself up in times like that?
Yes, I know. It can be very difficult, and that's when try and get out and talk to the right people that know that they will say something positive and tell you to pull your head out and just focus on what you need to. And so that's, yeah, obviously, yes, I've questioned myself a few times. I think any business owner would, and get back on track, get back onto what my main focus has been. And that's when I do go back into listening to podcasts and refocus on what I need to do.
Okay. Tell me, in terms of your strategy, and do you think there's a particular formula for, that you can say to other women that may be a good formula to follow or a recipe to follow? Or do you have particular views on that?
I think you've got to be prepared and have an idea of what you want to do. Whether that's in the form of a business plan or just a plan of action, how you want things to be implemented. Looking back on things now, if I had taken a bit more time, I could have implemented things a lot differently and made things probably a little bit easier. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. And to be honest, I thought I would have had more time. I suppose you've got to I expected that I would just gradually go into the market and create business, whereas it probably went a bit faster than I was expecting. So for other people out there, just be prepared before you start, and it'll be a lot easier for you. So you're not chasing your tail from the beginning.
Well, it sounds to me also that you kind of had credibility already to get these clients. So how did you get credibility in such a short time to actually get clients at a faster rate than you anticipated?
I think it was just I always kept in contact with my existing clients when I was in banking, and I just reignited those contacts to start with, and that kept the work going for it. And
Okay.
and as the work has worked out what I wanted to do within my business, it's a very small world in rural Queensland, and word spreads either good or bad very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got out of my comfort zone too. I did workshops and things that I wouldn't usually want to do, and be places just so, to be seen and be seeing people.
So your type of business is, you're regionally based, and there may be some limitations to that. Before I ask my next question that's related to that, what would be some of these limitations, or do you find that you had any limitations, or was it more of an advantage to be kind of regionally based?
To be honest, I haven't found any limitations because I'm working on the client-based level. So they're in regional Australia. I suppose I haven't developed the connections to the southeast Queensland corner as much as if you were based down there. I suppose, the travel down to southeast Queensland doesn't happen as often. But in saying that, I'm only 2 to 3, 4 hours away from the client. So you can be there within a short amount of time.
What about online? Do you also drive your business online with clients, or is it just more face-to-face based?
In regards to advertising, or
no, in actually doing your business, how do you kind of run your business? Is it online, virtually, plus face-to-face, or what's your kind of business model around that?
Yeah, face-to-face, and then a lot of email backwards and forwards with information. That seems the best way. I feel you've got to be personable with your clients, and to make that effort of meeting them face-to-face on property, it goes a long way. It works out. You can see what their operation is, and it also shows that you're willing to make the effort to go and see them in their own property.
You mentioned advertising before, so how did you go about actually advertising and promoting your business?
So I've got obviously all your online social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I just post different things on there every now and again, and I got a website in the last 12 months. No work really comes through that, but I see that they want to see what you're doing every now and again, and then the contact will be made over the phone or whether you're at an event for it. So it's just passive, letting them know what you're up to every now and again. Yeah. And
do you have a favorite online tool?
I mean, I like Instagram because it's people like a photo, can see where you are. You can have a couple of quick words attached to it. That's probably nice and simple, and everyone can relate to.
Yeah, okay. Tell me a little bit about how you distinguish yourself from competitors, or, I don't know what your competitor base look like in rural Queensland either. So maybe just talk to me a little bit about that side of things.
I suppose essentially, and this is the feedback that I'm getting from other professionals that I deal with, you've got brokers and you've got different accountants or different advisors out there, but they're not necessarily doing exactly what I'm doing. Everyone's a little bit unique in themselves. So what I am focusing on is sticking to what I know my business is about and letting people be aware of that. Having meetings with bank managers and accountants as well as clients, and letting them know what services I offer. And I also, my other motto is I'm trying not to get too involved in what my competitors are doing, because I feel that I would lose focus on my own business. So that's working well for me.
How do you link with your community around you?
I do sponsorship for different communities, for whether local shows or different things, and try and get out and about as much as possible within the community and different functions that I attend for it, and just this is my own business, so I suppose I'm always on show essentially, so you've just got to be aware of that.
Absolutely. And I guess that comes to also the branding aspect, in terms of, do you do constant pitches out there for your business, or how do you go about your personal branding?
I do newsletters that I do through online, just of contacts that I've picked up from attending different functions and got their details. I do some ads in the Grazing magazine, another young entrepreneur in rural Queensland. So I like to, and that's another thing that I also like to do, is support other small businesses where I can. And through advertising, for example, my second anniversary is about to come up, so look to support another small business whilst promoting my own accomplishment.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So do you see yourself also as a mentor moving forward?
I would like to see, like, I'm not hiding anything that I'm done, and I'm quite open to sharing what I've trying to achieve for it. Yes.
Okay. If you think back now on your journey over the last 2 years, what was your biggest lesson that you've learned, and also that you can pass on to other women and say, look, watch out for that?
Oh, biggest lesson. There's only one of you, I suppose, and not to where your health is very important. This is speaking from someone that's just taken 6 months to get over pneumonia.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
So, you I suppose that's the biggest thing. Yeah, there's support out there. Make sure you get it if you need it, and with the hard work, but the right mindset and dedication, the business will flourish.
I guess the counterpart of that is, is there a particular piece of advice that you have heard in the past that you would want to pass on to other women?
Piece of advice. Oh, where do I start? I think I've said it too many times, but just make sure stay positive and stay focused on what you want out of your business.
Yeah.
Things change, and it's okay from when you first start your business that things go down a different plan or a different route that you first expected. But as long as you're comfortable with that, that's fine for it. It's okay.
Yeah. If I ask you, and this is my second last question to you, is there a particular one amazing thing you'd like to still do in the future to make a difference?
Amazing. Oh, well, I don't...
I guess it doesn't have to be amazing, but, something that you kind of see yourself in the future do to make a big difference.
Well, I suppose I don't want to... I'm pushing myself all the time to continue to grow and see where this business takes me for it. So I don't, just in my own thoughts, I just want to see how far I can push that and to keep helping people on a wider scale, essentially. Yeah.
Do you think with your kind of business, I would probably think the case is so. Do you think you can take your business internationally eventually, like just via all the digital capabilities we have these days? Or is that something you would be interested in doing? Or are you just kind of at the moment Queensland and then slowly scaling up to the rest of Australia?
I think this is where partnerships would be very important. And that once again, I don't think you could say no to that. And if the opportunity arose, you'd have to definitely look into it for sure.
Now, where can we find you online, or if some of the women in our program would like to connect with you on social media?
Okay, so I've got my own website, which is www.lonsdaleagribusiness.com.au, and then LinkedIn for my professional side of things is just under Lisa Lonsdale, and then Facebook is Lonsdale Agribusiness, as well as Instagram and Twitter is Lonsdale Agribusiness as well. And all of those links are, you can go to the website and click on them and they'll take you to those different social media sites as well.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add before we finish the interview?
I suppose from advice to the younger, I don't know if there's going to be younger audiences ever looking or watching, but I suppose it's not about being the smartest in your class. Like, don't be so hung up on the marks you get at school or university. It's about being street smart and just gaining experience in life, and that will get you so far for it. That's what I've learned. I think just experience is worth so much, and just getting contacts and just don't give up. If you've got something that you want to do, just keep working at it.
Yeah. Lisa, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I really enjoyed talking to you and hearing about your journey. And there's so many little gold nuggets that came out that I, can't wait to have your interview shown on the website and get it promoted outside. And also in the Wire program, I hope I can connect with you later down the track in the program as well, because we are looking to have some mentors and experts feeding into some learning hubs as we move forward. But thank you very much for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
No worries. Thanks, Rita.